What is going on, YouTube? This is your boy PXG Cash Howard, and no, there is no technical difficulties. You're looking at a blank battle screen. Why is it? Because the action is that intense that your eyes cannot really focus on it. That's really what's going on, you know what I'm saying? Exactly, Mr. Announcer. Actually, the reason why there's no actual in-game footage of the battle is because the battle ended prematurely. Now, with my little what is it? As we all know, I have very bad short-term memory, but anyone who knows me personally knows I have a habit of jotting things down as things go on. So this league is no different. Every time I'm battling someone, every little thing I see, I jot it down on my Google Sheet. So I literally have a Google Sheet for every single battle that's occurred so far, with the moves my opponent used, any kind of revelation of what item they were carrying. So it would help me remember, for example, oh, this Pokemon actually had leftovers, so I don't have to actually worry about it having anything else, kind of thing. So this is literally the team that I brought, which you see on the left. As you know, we are the New York Nido Kings. We got Victini, Mega Diancie, Tornadus Darien, Ferrothorn, Suicune, and Kyurem. Now, a lot of people usually tell me I have a habit of bringing the same team, but now, while the actual core Pokemon are usually the same, I've yet in this league ran the same set for every match that I've fought. Every single match, these Pokemon, whether they've shown up all, this will technically be week 7. If they all shown up all 7 weeks, not all 7 weeks they actually carried the same moves, the same nature, the same EVs. Nothing has been the same in all 7 of these in all 7 of these weeks with all of my pokes. So I'm going to recreate for you what happened. So now, bear with me at the fact that you're not gonna see action and you're just gonna keep hearing me talk, which I know many of you people actually don't. You guys probably mute me when I'm actually doing battles. So now, since we don't have amazing Pokemon music in the background, I guess we're gonna go with this to recreate some battle music. You know, shoutouts to anyone who actually recognizes where this theme actually comes from. You know, you will get much props from me. So now, this battle opened up between Diancie and Rhyperior. Diancie, obviously, you know, Diancie, show yourself, girl. There you go. Diancie, Rhyperior. So right off the bat, I'm kind of in a bad spot because Rhyperior can probably kill me with an Earthquake. So my intention is to kind of see what he's gonna plan to do. So my first turn, I'm protect. You know, I obviously had to hit the Mega button to actually Mega into Mega Diancie, but I also led with Protect. And just as I predicted, Rhyperior went straight for the Earthquake. So, which is good for me because that means Moon Princess Diancie did not go down in one hit like it usually does. So now, obviously, for turn 2, I wasn't going to stay in. So I went into Suicune while he Earthquaked again. So obviously Suicune took some damage. But of course it ate it up because Suicune loves taking damage for a reason. Don't you, Suicune? Yes, you do. Obviously I recovered some health with leftovers. So now, because of that switch, he himself swapped into his Amoonguss. Which is right over here, and I chose to hit it with Scald, and we just got the damage, no burn, because you know, Scald doesn't always give you burn, you know, silly people. So now, I know for a fact now that's a bad situation because it's probably going to use some kind of grass move on Suicune. So what I decided to do was go into Ferrothorn. Also, besides the fact that it could have used a grass move, was the fact that I was kind of predicting it was going to try to hit Spore. But I'm guessing whether he carried it or not, I probably guess he wouldn't want to use it so carelessly because Ferrothorn would be ineffective being a grass type, and Mega Diancie would just reflect it right back, which obviously wouldn't do anything to him since he's also a grass type. So I went into Ferrothorn, and he used Giga Drain. So far, you know, we're making the right plays. So now, the key part of the strategy started right here in turn 5, because I threw out my Stealth Rocks to his side, while he used Hidden Power Fire on my Ferrothorn, which I am times 4 weeks to. But I know for a fact I'm going to live the hit. The reason why I said it was like the turning point, kinda, because looking at his team already, and a lot of people who are probably veterans at battling can notice it outright, he doesn't have a way to remove hazards on his team. Mind you, neither do I, but I do have Diancie to protect me from his attempts to wanna throw out any kind of hazards. So I threw rocks, and like I said, he threw Hidden Power Fire. So now he hit another Hidden Power Fire, which of course I'm gonna live again, and I threw a layer of spikes. So now at this point, my Ferrothorn got to the red, because I practiced a little bit before and I realized that at a very max I could probably live 3 at max. But since I was already in the red, I realized I wasn't gonna live another one. So considering I was hoping down the road I can actually get a second spike, I chose to switch out and go into Tornadus Therian, and he once again HP fired, so I did kind of predict that. Tornadus obviously taking the hit because, you know, Tornadus kind of shakes that off. So now he swapped into Magmortar as I chose to use my Hidden Power, which in this scenario was Hidden Power Ice. Obviously it's not going to do much because he is a fire type. What happened then was, I know for a fact Magmortar does learn a whole bunch of different special attacks. So just in case, I feel like it probably had Thunderbolt or Thunder, whatever one it is, the one that he learns. I went into Diancie, and what he ended up doing was using Fire Blast. Diancie was obviously able to tank the hit, no problem. Now, he swapped out immediately instead of using any other move, which made me think that, as I predicted, going into this, it might have had a choice. I already knew at least 1 or 2 things on his team was gonna be choiced, you know, whether Scarfed or Spec, Banded, whatever the case is. From his original list, Garchomp and Magmortar were pretty up there in the list of those who were gonna be choice. I don't know which choice it was, ironically though. But you gotta remember though that from turn 5 and 6, I had thrown out hazards already. So when Magmortar came in, he took damage from both rocks and the spike, which both did a lot. I think he got up to like the yellow-ish area. So he swapped out his Magmortar and went into Machamp. I chose to use Earth Power on instead of Moonblast, because while Moonblast probably would have been good, my overall feeling was that he was going to go into something that was going to probably beat out Diancie, so probably would have been something that would have tanked the Earth Power. So, I mean, that would have tanked the Moonblast, so I went with Earth Power, which was like the more safer bet. But he went into Machamp, who also took damage from the rocks, took damage from the 1-layer spike that when he took the Earth Power, Machamp, which is not really known for its special defenses, got to the red. It didn't die because we know Moon Princess, the Diancie, never actually kills anything. Oh, actually no, last week it did kill one thing, but you know what I'm saying. So this is the first time where I knew something could like what was gonna happen next, as I've used Machamp in another match before. I know it carries Bullet Punch, so I was not gonna stay in because chances are it was gonna Bullet Punch and kill Mega Diancie. So what I did was I went into Victini, who I know could tank the damage. The only reason I didn't go into Ferrothorn, who would have been able to also take the hit, because I also had the chance of him just, you know, outright dynamic punching, because most Machamps are no guard. So he did bullet punch. Diancie took the hit because, you know, Diancie's like, what is a bullet punch to me? So now I hit substitute as he swapped out into Magmortar. So at this point, Magmortar is now in the red. It was in the yellowish area before, now it's definitely in the red. I click substitute, now I'm hiding behind a substitute. If this thing is scarfed or whatever the case is, it needs to hit me with something that could break my my substitute and hope to live from whatever hell I was gonna do. But we never got to figure out what that move was, because at that moment the game ended with nothing dying on either side. So it was kind of like one of those like what the fuck situations, because a lot of things kind of happened building up to this match that it's kind of like when I got to the point of actually doing the match, I wasn't expecting a forfeit. So for a little backstory, I was trying to have this battle done with Thomas, who's, and I don't think I even announced who he was, the coach of the, I gonna butcher this, Cape Girardeau Gardevoirs. Most of you know, I think I mentioned it last time, my boy Miglu, who we named the big team after, has been in town for the last, I think at this point would have been 2 weeks already. So every weekend I'm gonna vanish to go hang out with him while I can. So I already knew that Sunday, which is usually the day that I do my battles, I wasn't gonna be home for the majority of it. So I tried to arrange this fight for Saturday, but a whole bunch of random excuses and mishaps, it didn't happen Saturday. So I tried to see if I can have the battle done before I left on Sunday. That also didn't happen on Sunday. If anyone who's watching is from New York knows, the MTA is not known to be the most reliable thing known to man. It literally took me 2 hours to get home on Sunday. So while I was hoping to get home like around 8, I got home at 10. And I started my journey of trying to go home at 8 o'clock, and I got home at 10 o'clock. So once I got home, I tried to get this battle done, you know, start this battle soon. And yeah, things happen. So that does give us a defaulted 3-0 win. You know, nothing really died. So it is what it is. I guess you could say GG.
And there goes the battle.
Nothing died. But once again, backtracking to before all this, a lot of people know, like I've been mentioning before, like, and there's even a Pokemon named after him. I do have an assistant coach who does help me out a lot with practicing team building and whatnot. I decided to pick up a second assistant coach, and I want to say that out of all my battles I've had this league, this was probably the first time I actually went in fully prepared, knowing what I was gonna do and what was gonna happen. So the point of this match was to throw out as much hazard as I could, because it was gonna start wearing down his Pokemon for every switch. Because like you guys heard me say, Magmortar and Machamp lost a lot of health just by coming in and getting hit by the 2 hazards. That once my attack did hit them, it brought them down to the red. So no, I do have 2 assistant coaches now. They both want to remain anonymous, so I guess they want to be all mysterious and whatnot. That's that. I did mention in the last video that we were coming up to the deadline for dropping anything should we want to in the league. So now I did strategize with my assistant coach, because my team is pretty balanced. Like this is like, there's my team right there. For me picking Pokemon in the middle of the draft, I was the overall 8th pick out of 16 people. I actually got away with a pretty good team. So big shout outs to my assistant coach for helping me balance out good picks from unnecessary picks. because anyone who's watched any of my battles before, I have a tendency of picking favorites, which also lean into crappy speed. So we did discuss, at a very max, four of any kind of drops could have happened, meaning I could have dropped any of these 4 pokes I wanted for any of the free agent pokes that were in the free agency in the pool, which was any pokes that were not drafted by any of the coaches, pokes that they originally had that they decided to drop themselves. We essentially decided that we didn't really need to drop anything, but just to have a fresh lineup, we did decide to. Now, I only decided to drop 3 out of the 4. The reason why was because I originally wanted to do a trade with one of the other coaches, but he flat out said no. So that kind of put a damper in the 4 selection. So what we did was we went with the original mindset, which was with the 3 drops that we were gonna do. So we ended up dropping Horn Attack the Heracross, Lindo's Pet the Hitmontop, and No Smoking Pliss the Wheezing. Now, out of those 3, you guys probably realize Wheezing is the only one that never showed up during the 7 weeks, and it's because I couldn't find a reason to bring it in. It was while it is very good defensively, there was never a time where my defensive pokes couldn't take something and be able to dish something out, whereas Wheezing would have been more of a hindrance to me, especially with the speeds here on top of that. So after much consideration about what to pick, and remember, based off of the tiers and whatnot, we got their replacements. So replacing Heracross, or Horn Attack the Heracross, who was a tier 3 poke, we got Nightwing the Crobat. Replacing Lindo's Pet the Hitmontop, who was a tier 4 poke, we got what did I decide to call this? I think I went generic with Magnet Warrior, the Magneton. Now, for Garbodor, you guys are probably just sitting like, he probably called this like garbage, piece of shit. I actually went to my coworker to get a name for this poke, because my coworker has a habit of knowing a little bit of too much information. He's probably spends too much time on Wiki and Google and whatnot. So he literally gave me a history lesson as to why we're gonna name this what we're gonna name it. So you guys probably remember a few years ago, there was that big oil spill, like in one of the ocean or something, and it was like polluting the water, all the sea life and all this crap. So my coworker said, what if that beach area got so polluted it became the Garbodor? And all the random garbage that was probably there, it's probably, you can say, like the fingers and all that Garbodor has. He believes that the we never actually looked up to see who it really was the cause of, but he thinks it was BP, the British Petroleum company that most people here in the US know a lot. So we decided to name it BP Stinks. Probably like the most creative, because everything else kind of just like, you're this, you're gonna be like Magneton. I was gonna call it Magneto, and I think I stuck with Magnet Warrior. I think if it doesn't work out for Magnet Warrior, I probably will name it Magneto. Crobat is Nightwing. But we legit had a brainstorm session on figuring out what to name Garbodor. I don't even know if I'm even gonna use Garbodor. It could be another Weezing where it won't even show up in the league. I've had pokes that never showed up in leagues before. You guys followed the other leagues. Last season, I drafted Mr. Mime after dropping another poke in, I think it was Articuno. Mr. Mime is the only poke I never used. And in the other league I was in, the PFA, I drafted Furfrou. I never officially used Furfrou in a match, but the scoreboard showed that it did in a fake match that never actually happened, whatever. But in played out match, you never saw me actually use Furfur. Not that Furfur was bad, it was just like kind of like this league, where I didn't really have a purpose to bring it in when I had somebody else that could actually do his job better. So now, that's the end of this video, because this was a pretty long video considering there was no actual gameplay going on. So, next week, we're gonna fight the fellow, the fellow monk in the boy Big Pum, who is the coach of, I believe, the Rochester Ride-Ons. I believe he's carrying his old name from the MPA. Now, as I said before, like, Thomas, who was the coach of the Cape Girardeau Gardevoirs, who was my opponent this week, where nothing actually happened, because of what happened in our match, got the boot. We got a replacement for him like immediately. I don't think he named his team yet, but we'll give him still a name. The boy's name is Blaze. He also redrafted almost all of Thomas's team, only staying with 2 of his pokes, who were actually in this match in Garchomp and Moongus. Everything else is a clean slate. A lot of those pokes were pokes that I had my eyes on. So Blaze might know a good thing about potential in pokes. But as I said, next week we're fighting the boy Big Pum and the Rochester Ride-Ons. Should be pretty good. Me and Pum each have a win on each other from the different leagues. Pum got the win in Season 1. I got the win in Season 2. So let's see who'll get the tiebreaker now in Season 3. But until then, this is your boy PXG Cash Howard, coach of the New York Nido Kings. I do thank you guys for watching, and I appreciate you guys. Laters.